All right, everybody, I'd like to call the meeting to order. The golf chair, Harry Stenenbein, is on a Zoom call with us. I'm Tim Hurley, the governing board president. I'll be chairing this meeting. If everyone will rise, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. We do have a quorum. We've got the members here. We also have Harry on the telephone and Zoom call. So the first order of business is minutes from the October 13th meeting. If there's no changes, they will stand as written. Okay, thank you. Staff reports, golf operations. Mr. O'Hara, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have a few slides that kind of recap this last 30 days or so in the golf environment. Real quick picture of an overview of our schedule of events for the year 2022-2023. Most current one that we hosted was the 27th Annual Octogenarian Tournament. It was up at the Desert Trails Golf Course on October 22nd. The results on this page had a great turnout. We had 93 octogenarians play. Out of the 93 that played, 12 were over 90. Oldest golfer was 99 years of age, Pat Doe. One of the neat things about this tournament is we have everybody stand up, and as we go through the years, 1942 being how old you have to be the youngest octogenarian, we start there and go backwards, and he made it all the way to 1923, so it was really neat to see. You might recognize some names up there. We did have a $5,000 hole-in-one, but we didn't have a winner. So you might ask what a Peoria flight is. That's where we blind draw some holes so that we can make it equitable with a handicap on the net side. And looks like Robert Bain won that with a 62. So a good event with dinner at Briarwood Country Club. Couple pictures of the group. As I mentioned, we played at Desert Trails. It was a 12 o'clock shotgun. And a bunch of active golfers, which is good to see. This week, we're hosting the Folds of Honor Week, which is a week-long donation for the Folds of Honor. I'm sorry, was that Harry? Okay. So we're taking donations at the open golf courses as well as Grandview. Just checked with my staff. We've collected over $1,900 in donations, and we're fortunate in that we have a anonymous donor who's going to match up to $2,000. So we're well on our way to $4,000 for donating to the Folds of Honor. So if you haven't participated, feel free to do so at one of the open golf courses, which would be Pebblebrook, Stardust. We've got Grandview Pro Shop involved in this as well, Deer Valley, and Echo Mesa. And we're selling tickets for a raffle, $5 a ticket, 3 for 10, and the grand prize is a new Titleist driver. So a lot of prizes will be handed out. A couple events coming up. This following Friday, November 18th, we've got the turkey shoot. That's sold out. It's 72 players at night putting. It's also a chance for us to donate to the St. Mary's Food Bank. Every two-person team will receive a turkey, frozen turkey, and a lot of those get donated to the St. Mary's Food Bank. This last Monday, we started taking entries for the night golf, which is hosted at Pebblebrook on December 16th. We send these entry forms out 6 weeks in advance, and I was informed today that's sold out. So that's 104 players, and that's a lot of fun. If you have an interest, come see it at night. Both of those events, they're pretty cool to see. Golf course is lit up pretty neat. Just wanted to give you some updates on our call center staff. For those of you that might not know this, this time of year, starting in October, rather than dedicating a staff member at each golf course to answer phones, we have a call center at Golf Ops. We hire 2 people per shift. It's a 7 to noon shift, and then we have a noon to 5. This year we expanded the hours to cover 7 to noon on Saturday and Sunday, and we're seeing some good results there. This last month in October, we received and answered 4,200 phone calls, which was an average of 193 calls a day. So when you call the pro shop between the hours of 7 and 5, you're actually getting the call center, and they try to handle your needs there. This was a photo sent in by Bill. I'm trying to think Bill's last name. I've gone brain dead, but Bill is a individual one-person cart rider, and we purchased some smaller medical flags so that they're not as big, and they kind of get in the way on these single cart riders carts, and they're miniaturized, and we got 14 of those, and he's just showing that he thought it was pretty neat. So trying to take care of those guys as well. Local rules, we had our first meeting on October 26th. Tom Wogemuth, his wife wasn't in attendance. She had something else going on, but we're going to include her because not only Tom and Alice, but Dave Eichner and Phil Kelly are all USGA, what would we say, certified rules officials. And with the new rules coming out in 2023, we know that some of these on our local rule sheets are going to change. So we're going to do our best to get in front of that, make some changes and recommendations, and bring them forward to the golf committee. Our next meeting is Thursday, November 17th. All right, this Saturday, we've got the First Swing Green Team program. It's over at Stardust. We have 75 brand new golfers that were identified through the Green Team that will get free lessons. It's about a 3-hour clinic. They go through 5 stations. One of them is chipping, putting, irons, woods, and then the one is just information. How do you check into a pro shop? What do you need to present? What is a cart, scorecard, all the information that you might need to play. And this is a great way for us to grow the game in our community. And then David Aaron over at the Golf Lab at Grandview is doing really well, staying busy, teaching, club fitting. If you haven't been over there, you need to go inside. They've got an indoor teaching facility and simulator. It's very well stocked, and as it says up there, it is truly the golfer's toy store. And along with this, we had a question, I think, Tom, it was from you, concerning the how Dave, or how we're doing bringing the pros involved in teaching that are on staff versus Reed West. A little background on this. Reed West Golf Academy was here. They were here for probably 7 years or so, and did a great job, but the relationship and the business aspect of it was slanted, I would say, in their favor. And we thought we could do a little bit better by changing things up. So Dave pays rent over at Grandview. Reed West did not. We currently have 6 PGA pros on staff. They teach. Their lesson rate is $40 for 45 minutes, and the rec center gets 30% of that. And Dave has exclusive rights to sell the hard goods. So we don't get into the hard good game with him. And as you can see, the past agreement was no rent. We got 10% of the lessons, and we split proceeds from sales, but with the hard good market the way it is, profits on that are pretty slim. So by the time you split it, there's not a whole lot there. So the bottom line is this last year was a $13,000 windfall over what Reed West did their last year. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Before we go to committee comments, Harry, do you have any comments on Pat's presentation?
Not right now, I don't.
All right, thank you, Harry. Any committee comments? No? Okay, good. We'll move right along then to Todd Patty's Environmental Services.
All right, good afternoon. Just a couple of updates. Of course, overseeding update, and then I'll give you a year-to-date water usage, and then our Grandview project update. Here we go. As you know, we have Pebblebrook, Stardust, Echo Mesa, and Deer Valley are open for play. No car path restrictions. And then Trail Ridge, Desert Trails, Grandview. Those are the 3 golf courses that are closed right now, and those will reopen on Tuesday, November 22nd. And just to give you a little update on those courses, on our first golf courses, the first 4, it looks like we got a really good catch on our ryegrass this year. Staff will continue to spot seed thin areas as needed. We've lowered the height on the greens several times, and we'll continue to do that. And we should be at our normal height of cut on the greens at 125 or 1/8 of an inch here in a few weeks. We finished seeding fairways, tees, and green banks on the last 3 courses Monday, October 31st. And finished seeding greens and top dressing greens last Saturday, November 5th. We delayed our seeding of the greens due to a weather disturbance that moved through the area last week. So we were a few days behind on the greens. Greens are going to be a little bit on the thin side when we open for opening day just because of the delay and also the cooler weather. I was telling a few people earlier, I ran the numbers for the first 10 days in October. In 2020, our average high was 92 degrees. Last year, it was 87. This year, it's 72 degrees. And that really hurts us when it comes in terms of overseeding and trying to germinate that seed and get it up and running. But as of today, I've been on the golf courses all day today, looking at germination, and I think we're going to be fine. Again, it's going to be thin for opening, but just because we open up, it doesn't mean the grass stops growing or stops germinating. So I just ask that you be a little patient with us, and we'll get it. It always works out. So at this point, we're not looking at a delay for opening. I thought that might be an option, or not an option, but something we were going to have to deal with a couple days ago, just because I wasn't seeing that much ryegrass coming up. One thing, we may have a cart path restriction, and I don't know yet. I'll have a better reading on that next week as we get closer, and then we'll make that announcement. But hopefully we can avoid a golf course or a cart path restriction. It actually looks like we're going to be able to start mowing tees, fairways as soon as this weekend, Saturday at some of the golf courses. So if everything goes as planned, we'll probably start making our first cuts on the greens probably a week from today. We're just going to have to wait and see. So we have a few days coming up that are going to be really ideal for growing. No storms in the forecast, so that's good. So I think we got a few good days coming up, so we can make a lot happen in a short time. All right, our year-to-date water usage through October, we used 3,400 acre-feet of water. We have a budget of 36, so it puts us about 220 acre-feet under budget. That's for all 7 golf courses, or 31 acre-feet per golf course. 509 acre-feet remain for the year, or 72 acre-feet per golf course. And I know you've seen this slide several times, but we've been under our conservation allotment for 9 years in a row now. I think it's safe to say that we're going to make that 10 years coming up. So that's good. All right, and then our Grandview Golf Course irrigation and turf reduction project update. Just a couple new updates from our last committee meeting. We received the grant money from the Office of Tourism in the amount of $420,000. We just received that check last week. So that's good, or $105,000 per golf course. This money will go towards water conservation projects like the new pump station at Grandview, shoreline repair at Stardust, and turf removal at Echo Mesa and Pebblebrook. Pipe for the road crossing main lines was delivered yesterday. I don't know if you've been over in that area off of Meeker, the big black pipe. It's being stored along the wall on the left-hand side of number 17. It's out of play. So that we figured that would be a good place, and it's not going to walk away. When you see it's 50-foot lengths, it's a big pipe. That's not going to get up and go anywhere. So the rest of the pipe will be delivered next year sometime in March for the project. And then just a reminder that we'll be having our third community forum next Friday, the 18th, and that will be here in the lecture hall from 2 to 4 o'clock. And reminder notices have gone out through e-news and Facebook page. So hopefully we'll have a good attendance for that. And we may look at having a fourth forum sometime in February or early March if we need that. So I've been talking to homeowners around Grandview. I've been making myself available at the pro shop to talk to golfers and that. So hopefully I've answered a lot of questions of what's going on the project and what it's going to look like. And as I told you at the last meeting, we've sprayed all those areas out around Grandview, so it gives you a real good visual of where the desert's going to be. And so I think with that, there's the timeline I put together. It's everything I talked about. Again, the actual project starts April 4th, which is a Monday. Back 9 closed, front 9 open with driving range, practice facilities. And then the entire golf course with the range, putting green, all that will be closed on May 29th. Now, we might be able to keep it open just a little bit longer if we're delayed a little bit on the back 9 by a couple weeks. Maybe we could, and I'll work with Pat on that to keep that front 9 open. So, and then we reopen the golf course after the fall overseeding on the 24th of October. So,
Okay.
with that, that's all I have for my report today.
All right, Todd, before
Yes,
we
sir.
go to Harry, can you just give us a brief update on the turf at the lawn bowling, please?
Yeah, sure. We have greens number 3 and 4 open for play right now, and they're dormant. We've overseeded number 1 and 2, and we're still nursing those a little bit right now. They've been overseeded several times, and we continue to fertilize and try to get some of those areas to fill in, especially the shaded areas where the building and the shade canopy at cast shade over on that one side on number 1. So we're struggling a little bit with that, but it's filling in every day. So I've met with the club several times. In fact, I meet with them about once a week and give them updates on where we're at. And I think they're just happy to be back out on greens 1 and 2. You know, they have a place to go. They don't have to travel outside the walls to go lawn bowling. So they're real happy about that. So I told them I'll get those 2 greens 1 and 2 that are overseeded. I'll get those open as soon as possible. And it could be at the end of this month, maybe into December. But at least they have the 2 dormant ones right now to play on. So they're happy about that.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. Thank you.
Harry, do you have any comments for Todd?
No comments.
Okay. Committee, do we have any comments for Todd's? Any questions? Wow. Moving right along. All right. Let's see. 3.03 is golf budget versus expenses for September. Our CFO, Pete Finelli.
Well, good afternoon again to y'all. I sure appreciate you guys volunteering. This is really, really valuable for the input you guys provide. Up on the screen, you'll see the financials. I put that out there for anybody looking on YouTube that wants to kind of freeze the frame and look at more of the detail. But as you know, in the past, I then do this presentation, which extracts some of those smaller numbers and gives you some of the variances that are relevant. Go to the revenues first. This is against budget year to date. These are in millions, so as an example, the upper left, 0.96 is $960,000 of revenue. So off to the right, we're about 90,000 ahead. A little bit up on ancillary, which is the golf cart rentals and the range balls for the most part. So overall, through the first quarter, 130,000 ahead on revenue. Moving to expenses, we're down a little bit in staffing and some overtime allotment. And so we have about 60,000 favorable variance on the biggest portion of the expenses. We do have an ongoing overage occurring still in supplies. That's where a lot of our oil and gas and those oil and gas lands in there, and we're still getting hit with some of the higher prices in that arena. So overall, still though, with that 110,000 favorable. So the combined of the two, about a 240,000 ahead year to date. Moving against prior year, Similar advancement on revenue. That's not a typo. It literally was the same 90,000. And overall 110,000 ahead of prior year. Here are some of the revenue changes. We've explained this a little bit. I think this is a good thing in previous sessions, that the resident revenue seems to be declining. It occurred in FY22. It seems to be continuing in FY23. That actually is kind of a good thing, because the next slide, you'll see that I think personally people are moving to buying the discount cards and then kicking it back to this. You can see that that's showing up on the Kachina, Coyote Unlimited play type of things. I'm sorry, Unlimited doesn't have green fees, but so overall, I hope you find that interesting. Some of this, of course, is on that would be the rate hike, but we did not have any increases except for Unlimited in the discount cards. On the expense side, we did do a wage adjustment that's been proving to be favorable in some of the recruitment and retention in July. And so that's the biggest component of the variability there. While we did not exceed our budget on the third line down on landscape maintenance, there was still a seed increase this year. It's just that we had budgeted anticipating that that would occur. But one of those high price things for seed is, and chemicals, fertilizers, are still seeing the impact of supply chain and inflation. So overall, 330,000 negative variance against prior year. So when you, I put those highlights out there, but I explained most of those already. When you put those all together, we were up on revenue, but that higher operating expenses. So overall, reduced margin of 210,000 on the operating. And just a couple of notables. I think Pat might have alluded to some of these, but up through September, 6.8% more rounds. And equally important, you know, this is an indicator that I look at quite a bit. It gives a quick snapshot. If we're going higher than the rate hike, then you can quickly infer that you're getting probably more guest fee or outside play, which has the higher rate. And if it's not keeping up, then it means we're probably seeing more of the discount rates, which is all good. It's just, you know, an indicator. And so I think the rate hike was about 4 or 5%. So I think we're staying pretty close, right, to the overall expected rates. So that's my presentation.
Thank you, Pete. Harry, do you have any questions for Pete?
No questions here.
Okay. Committee, any questions for Pete? Wow. Okay, all right. Well, moving on to new business, golf car infrastructure study. Donna, will you give us a report, please?
Sure.
Kim, can I butt
I'm
in
sorry, wait a
here?
minute. Harry, yes?
First of all, I'd like to thank Donna and Tom and Pat for being members of the committee, and Donna for chairing it. She did a great job.
Thanks, Harry.
Good, thanks, Harry.
Okay, well, the subcommittee met on October 25th to discuss the feasibility of converting our fleet to electric golf carts. All members of the committee were in attendance. During our discussions, we considered the cost of lithium versus gas, the battery replacement costs, the length of storage, the length of life of the battery and the storage of used batteries, electricity versus gas costs, the need that we found for the structural changes, having to have standalone cart barns if we go lithium and have fire suppression installed in all of those structures. Acquiring an estimate to determine how much it would cost to make the architectural changes. And we also found out that there's really no grants available at this time that would enable us to, or help us along to make these changes. So basically we determined, the subcommittee, that we would not recommend going to electric carts at this time, and perhaps looking in the future for something, another option, or maybe better, lithium batteries at that time, because the length of the life of the lithium battery is only about 5 years. And from Pat, they like to keep the golf carts for at least 10, so that really increases the price of the batteries and where you store them when they're no longer in use. So that's really all I have.
Thank you, Donna. Harry, any other comments before we open it up to?
No, I think she covered it very well.
Okay. Any other committee comments, questions? Okay, this is easy. All right, moving on. Any outstanding issues that we have? Seeing none, we're going to move right along to recommendations for proposed fiscal year 23-24 capital presentations. And
You can see
Pete will
I'm
give
not
us.
Carl Wilhelm. I am Pete Finelli. Carl's not feeling well. He does an outstanding job, and I'd like to highlight that because today I'm going to give a very truncated golf-centric component. But if anybody on the committee or in the audience or on YouTube wants to see that, Carl has presented the entirety of this at least 4 or 5 times. You can go to virtually any of the other committees, and it's in great detail. So I'm going to keep this really, really truncated to golf-related items. And first of all, we did put the CR13s out there. They were all related to softball, so we'll just move on. In the new capital, 3 of these highlighted. One of them Donna just referenced, and on the first pass, there was some allotment for doing an infrastructure assessment for the 7 courses, both at the maintenance yards and at the pro shop. And that was now, with you guys' recommendation, removed from the FY24 capital budget. You see the other 2 down there, and I will go into a little bit of picture in a second, but it's a couple roof structures, shade structures over at Desert Trails, and in a second you'll see the detail on that. And I guess that's here. So up in the top, you will see a drone image of that pro shop. The first area of storage is they'll put dry storage for the operations in there, and they store carts and things like that. I believe this is the only pro shop that does not have that type of a storage need with a cupboard. So it's definitely something that would improve the operations. Out to the right, you'll see an uncovered patio canopy. Down in the bottom right, you'll see the proposed $30,000 spend is already in effect at Deer Valley, I believe, and that was done last year. And so this would look almost identical with the covering and I think the paving. Moving into our R&R, repair and replacement, in Carl's world, 2 of the golf course pro shop parking lots are destined to be completely milled and resurfaced. This one is for Grandview, which will fit in well with the irrigation project next summer. And Trail Ridge, which I think is in pretty bad shape. So this one could definitely be used. I would like to highlight from what I heard from Carl, this I think represents the last of the 7 pro shop parking lots. So mill and replacement, and if you tack on that at the rec centers, we're really nearing the end of a lot of pretty heavy spend in the mill, and then we'll be doing seal and stripes over the next decades. But this should put all of our parking lots in pretty good shape. Continuing on to repair and replacement, unique to golf maintenance. At the courses, 7 courses, sometimes people see the $1 million spend and think that's a lot, but for a course, $154,000 is not necessarily an extravagant spend. So we'll always try to highlight that on just golf maintenance equipment. We have good news on this. Todd highlighted a few minutes ago that one of the grant applications called for the Arizona Department of Tourism. One of the projects for Stardust was to do this shoreline. And so much of this $230,000 expenditure will be offset by this grant. If any questions on the particular shoreline, I defer that to Todd. We did this in our Grandview process where we identify the design work that's going to be needed for the following year. Echo Mesa is currently scheduled to have its deturfing and irrigation replacement in FY25. So approximately $200,000 to do the design planning, the irrigation setups, the placement of the heads, and all the desert landscape planning. So a ton of work goes in so that when you hit the following year, it's all the design work's done. Same thing for 7 courses, about 20 grand for just an assortment of vehicles, carts, and things like that. Continuing on with our cycle of about, I think, 7-year rotating replacement to try to do 20 or 25 golf carts a year, replacing an aging fleet. With your discussion on the electric vehicle, this will continue then. This slurry seal is done on a 5-year rotating basis at most of the courses that doesn't have the concrete, and it's up for Grandview. Again, that will be a good timing because it'll be done, I believe it'll be done in concert with the irrigation project. Just a couple smaller dollar. Carl highlighted only the 50,000 plus ones, but any questions on these? They seem pretty straightforward. We can address with Pat or Todd, but just a couple vehicles and club cars and lake aerations and things like that. So that's the golf-centric capital request for the upcoming fiscal year. It's very early days. Most of the committees have been, I'm sure Tim will do that, but a lot of times they'll seek your recommendation, but it is just a recommendation, so if the governing board ultimately will have to make its own decision.
All right, before I go to Harry for comments, I just want to make an editorial comment. These capital projects are split into 2. R&R is repair and replacement. Those come directly off of our reserve study. And what the reserve study is it lists all of our capital items, anything that's over $5,000 that has more than a 5-year lifespan. And those are all plotted out for the next 30 years so that we know what their useful life is, when they're due to be replaced, and what the tentative cost will be when they're replaced. So the R&R comes directly off that. That's really the basis that keeps everything bright and shiny here in Sun City West. And the first ones that Pete went over, the yellow, those are new. Those are actually new capital items that have been placed in the capital budget. So the 2 that we're going to look at today after Harry makes his comments are the first 2. So Harry, do you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay. So the 2 that we're going to look at is they're both the desert trails. One is the storage area, the roof structure. And basically, this is a hard roof that goes over an outside storage area right now that's open to the elements. It'll help them provide storage outside for consumables, that sort of thing. I believe, if I'm correct, that this is the last one to have an outside storage roof put over it. So that's the first one. The second one is the shade structure. As Pete mentioned, this was done at Deer Valley last year, and it added significantly to the outside covered seating, and particularly during the winter when we have all the people back, it really helps give more area for people to go outside and sit. So, first one, I'd like to get consensus to move a recommendation to the governing board for the Desert Trails Pro Shop storage area and roof structure. Are there any questions or comments on that? All right. It's not a motion, we just need consensus. So we do have consensus for this? Yes. Okay, thank you, we'll move that on.
Yes.
Second one is the shade structure for the patio, $30,000, again at Desert Trails. Any questions or comments? Deer Valley people, you want to speak up? All right, do I have consensus to move the shade structure to the governing board with a recommendation? Okay, very good. At Desert Trails. Well, the stage structure was at at Deer Valley. I just wanted them to comment if they liked it or not. Okay. Okay. Monkey wrench. All right, let me find the beginning here. Okay. That completes the work that we have. So committee comments, any comments from the committee on anything today? Pat, Patty? No. Al? No. Lisa? No. Marilyn? Donna? Come on, Gary. All right, we're going to
Yeah.
open it up. If there's any comments from people in the audience, would you come up to the microphone, please? Write your name and on the form with your member number and give us your name and member number, please. Yes, please. Yes.
My name is Todd Brunson, B-R-U-N-S.
Can you turn the mic on?
Is that better?
Hang on, we've got help coming.
How about that?
There you go. Very good.
My name is Todd Brunsink. It's B-R-U-N-S-I-N-K. My number is 136163. I've been a resident here for 2 years. Just wanted to let you know, just so everybody knows, I'm also a lifetime member of the PGA. So the first thing I wanted to say is to this whole staff, including Pat and his staff, you guys do an outstanding job. I enjoy looking at all the numbers of the golf courses, seeing just the detailed information, the breakdowns of both revenue and expenses. And it makes me feel good to be a part of a Sun City West, to be able to see the golf operation working so well. I've meant to come to several of these meetings, but unfortunately, this is my golf day. So I had to skip golf this morning so I could make sure. There's been a few things on my mind and more questions than anything else. My first is, if I read correctly, are you currently, overall, as far as the community in the discussion for budgets for next year at this time?
Yes.
Okay. And then would that correlate also, Pat, with the golf course budget for next year? Okay. Next question I'd like to ask is, I took a look at the fee increases. Is there any fee increases or increases for the budget for this year beyond greens fees?
I'll have our CFO answer that.
Just to be clear, our fiscal year is in July 1 to June.
Okay.
Our budget process goes first half of the year, we concentrate more on the capital. None of this has any approval until late May for the capital. Our operating budget goes into full force usually around February, and it goes through 3 months of discussion in open forums, through committees, golf committee included, and they help develop some of the rates. And so it's very early days and no discussion at all on what the rates will be on any front, nor
Sure.
cards or anything.
Okay, so over this past year, besides any increases, just for instance, as far as our members here, I think there was like a $3 increase in the 18-hole fee in the morning. Is that correct?
I
believe
don't
so,
have the
anyway.
grid, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, Okay. And when are these fees actually determined?
They are proposed for golf with heavy involvement by the golf committee. Ultimately, the governing board is presented with the budget, and the rates are approved and published, and they go into effect in July.
The actual approval of the rates don't happen until the end of May.
Okay, okay. Currently, and again, I'm still quite new and just limited play. But do we currently have any trail fees for our golf cars?
No, we do not. We have a policy against them.
Okay, when you say a policy against them, meaning?
Yes. Meaning that, that golf operations or the general manager cannot institute a trail fee unless they have approval of the board.
Okay, and that's straight across the board, residents and non-residents?
No trail fees,
Okay,
unless that happens.
okay. The reason I ask is just because we get Sun City Grand people over here, they're paying a greens fee, but they're not paying any trail fees,
True.
anything like that. Okay, and just to go along with it, just looking at numbers, I mean, I've seen all the golf courses, I've seen all the driving ranges. We have the lowest, probably the lowest fees for range balls. I mean, they're great. I mean, nobody can argue that. We don't have any trail fees for the golf cart. So all our people, and I know this probably makes me unpopular, but no trail fees. Whoever owns a golf cart can drive on that golf course. And we have, we've talked about compaction issues, and I've read it. And yet we increase our greens fees to the people that are residents here. And I just saw, that the greens fees themselves are going down, at least the daily fees. So if I happen to just be paying a daily fee and I don't have one of the packages, if I don't have a golf cart, I'm paying, I think, about another $15, but I don't know what it is this year. So now I'm paying basically the same fees as somebody with a golf cart from Sun City Grand or wherever they can get their golf cart to and from. So I'd just like to make this recommendation is that as you're looking at the budget in the future, and Pat, you've probably, there's probably been a lot of people that have talked to you about this, yay or nay, but take a look at increasing, even if it's $1, the range balls. I mean the dollar amount. I mean there's some money there. I mean, and
there is a premium for our outside players to come in and play, and the trail fee that you are referring to is roll up in that. And there's also, if outside player wants to come in and buy a key for range balls, it's a higher price for them than for a resident. So
okay, but what I'm saying is that the person that comes from the outside with their own golf cart is basically paying the same thing as a member here. No?
no,
Am I wrong?
no, yes.
How much difference is there?
42 for a resident.
Right.
61, just green fees, 61 for somebody coming from Grand.
Right.
So we're at 79 with cart for cart and a public player. And normally our residents has a cart, so they're at 42.
Okay, so we're at 42 plus a greens fee. I mean a cart fee.
If they don't have one,
If they don't have one.
so they're at 60.
So they're at 60. And the other
one's
person that comes
79.
from the outside
Is at 61.
is at 61.
Plus tax.
Plus tax, right.
Thank you, Mr. GM, lurking in the background.
I'm just saying if there can be some consideration
Right.
at
Points well
looking-
taken, and
looking
if
at things like
you
that.
have any additional, you can certainly come up and talk to Pat or me or Pete or the general manager after the meeting.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay, all right.
All right. Is there
The-
any
the-
other?
The next thing,
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, but we usually have a 2-minute limit, and we don't have the timer up today, so you've had, but feel free, as I say, to come up and talk to us afterwards.
okay, I'll just add one more thing. I'll come up and talk afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Berg? Michael.
Just while this gentleman is putting on his notes, I remember you tried to cut out some balls.
You need to stand to the microphone,
You
please.
took out some balls from the range buckets, and I know that didn't go over well last year, so we're not going to go into that again. There was just an article written in the,
I'm sorry, I need to have your name and number,
I'm sorry,
please.
Michael Berg, I'll put it down, 120549. And just an article in a letter to the editor in the local newspaper, pretty much unhappy with the golf financial situation here. Does the golf board committee, Pat, Tim, anybody ever respond to these people publicly to put golf in a more favorable light? I mean, I think when someone moves into this community, they need to understand it is a golfing community. There are 7 golf courses when you moved here. It's not like we're trying to build another one. So I think people need to understand that as well. But when there's a letter written publicly in the newspaper, I think there should be a response.
The board or the rec centers do not respond. I do write a monthly article that goes into the paper in which I can reply to things, but to start a dialogue with someone who has bad information to begin with is a losing proposition.
And I understand that, but people who are just reading the letters to the editor, they just see their viewpoint and they don't get the other side.
Well, we have an avid enough golf community here that I'm sure someone's going to respond. So, stand by. Yes, sir.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tom McNally. My number is 915-482, and I have multiple questions. I'll try and keep them short
Okay.
for the timer. First of all, I want to say that about 2 months ago, my wife and I, who are members, traveled out of state. I won't say the state because everybody will go, that gives you a clue. It starts with a C. Not Colorado either. We played golf there. What a horrendous experience for a course that used to be pretty well kept up and pretty properly maintained. Made the comparison to all of our friends, you won't believe this. This is the worst course, and I don't know how it is but all 7 of our public courses are well maintained, far and away. Yes, we're in the middle or starting a water crisis, etc., but I'm of the old school where 75% of the water used on a golf course is reclaimed water. Now, I might be living 30 years in the past, but that's something. But at any rate, the courses are extremely well kept up. And at most of the courses, your employees are fantastic. So that's one of the good things. I do have a question as far as the golf budget. Every month, as the budget is posted in the Sun City West News, we can look at it and see. And every month, the first thing I do is go to the top 3 lines, golf revenue versus golf plan. And every month for the last 5 at least, the actual has blown the plan away by roughly an average of 10 to 30,000. My comment retaining that or going to that is, I think as we set next February through July plan, we realize that the city now has more people that live in it that are more active than they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Many people who I golf with or have golfed with have moved here year round. Now, that's not to say that there aren't what we all call snowbirds, because there are, but it's gone, I believe, at least from 40-60 to 50-50 or more. So and where I'm going from this is, I get the overseeding, I get the closing down of courses, but 5 courses closed down at a time for the entire summer. And I get currently There's 3 courses that are closed down for fall overseeding. Well, you drive by those courses, maybe every other day they're working on it, or you see the water going. You got a week and a half before, and let me continue with it. I say, I'm sure they're going to turn out to be great looking green courses, because they always do afterwards. I'm a little put out because my men's league course had to take the other 2 courses in for a couple of weeks, just like they've had to take us in this past weekend, next week, and 2 weeks ago. And I get fall overseeding, and you can't fall overseed in September 1st with 115-degree heat. But all I'm asking is, look at possibilities of, instead of doing 5 at a time, do 2, do 3, that kind of thing, so that one course doesn't get overloaded in that manner.
Okay, just to that point, we do 4 at a time and 3 at a time. We never close 5 courses at the same time. During the summer, we close 2 courses so that they can have major work done to them, and the rest are open. And particularly during our prime season, all 7 courses are open every day, all day.
During the summer, there were only 3 courses that were open. Desert Trail. Now, part of that was the overseed, yes. But at one time, there was 5 closed.
Well, I tell you what, rather than continue on, why don't you come up and talk to Todd and Pat afterwards, because they can give you the entire detail as to.
And I apologize. I don't mean if I'm being taken critical or being critical. I'm not. I don't, we've been here for 2.5 years, love it, love the community, love the golf courses. And but there are questions.
Sure.
And that's, hard to read my own. Oh, okay.
Well, if you have anything else, can you come up afterwards so that we can adjourn the meeting? You feel free to come up and ask.
Because I still have questions about like the single rider carts and allowing 3 carts.
That would be Mr. O'Hara.
So, okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments out there? No? Harry, do you have any other comments?
Just so everybody knows on the board, on the committee, why I put Tim there, because I wanted to make sure you'd all welcome me back.
Thank you, Harry. I'm sure they will all welcome you back, as will I. All right, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at, 2:20? 2:22. Thank you very much.